So today, we're going to dive into a pretty high-stakes battle of wits. I'm talking about a global war that's being fought with some serious science, clever strategy, and a few really sneaky tricks. And the enemy? It's tiny, it's everywhere, and it is incredibly dangerous. So let's get right into it.
Okay, first off, a question for you. When you picture the deadliest animal on the entire planet, what pops into your head? Maybe a great white shark, a lion, maybe a venomous snake?
Well, the answer, and it's not even close, is the mosquito. These little vectors are so much more than just an annoying buzz in your ear. They are responsible for transmitting diseases that kill hundreds of thousands of people every single year. So fighting them isn't just simple pest control, it's a massive global health mission.
So, how in the world do we fight back against an enemy like that? Well, it's not about brute force, it's about being smarter. And this right here gets to the absolute core principle of modern vector control. See, victory doesn't come from just spraying chemicals all over the place. It comes from understanding the enemy's entire lifestyle, its habits, its environment, and then using all of that knowledge against it. It's like biological espionage.
All right, let's kick things off with the most visible part of this fight, the chemical arsenal. These are the frontline tools that, we've been using for decades now. You have probably seen this before, right? The fogging truck rolling slowly through a neighborhood. That's called space spraying. The whole goal is just to create this big cloud of insecticide that kills adult flying insects as soon as it touches them. But the key thing to get here is that its effects are super temporary. It's really a quick knockdown, not a long-term solution.
And you should know, not all fogging is created equal. On the one hand, you've got thermal fogging. It uses heat to create that thick, white smoke you always see. Now, this is great for public relations because, well, people can see that something is being done. But it's also a fire risk and can be a traffic hazard. On the other hand, there's cold fogging. This creates a really fine, almost invisible mist. It's way more efficient, it's safer, but it takes a lot more technical skill to get the calibration just right. Now, a much more proactive chemical approach is something called larviciding. So instead of chasing around the adult mosquitoes that are already flying, you go straight to the source, the standing water where they lay their eggs. By treating that water, you kill the larva before they ever get a chance to grow up and fly away. You're literally stopping the problem before it can even start. So, killing the vectors is one thing, but what if you could stop them from ever breeding in the first place? Well, that's the whole idea behind our next strategy. Completely reshaping the battlefield itself. This is the entire philosophy behind environmental management. It's pretty simple, really. If a mosquito needs a puddle of stagnant water to lay its eggs, what happens if you just get rid of the puddle? Boom, you've won the battle without firing a single shot, so to speak. And this approach comes in two main flavors. Over on the left, you have environmental modification. This is the big, permanent, long-term stuff, like building better drainage systems or leveling land. And on the right, you have environmental manipulation. These are more temporary actions, like clearing out some weeds from a stream to disrupt the breeding cycle. Both are designed to make the environment totally unwelcoming to pests. Okay, now this is where things get really, really cool. We've talked about chemicals, we've talked about construction, but what if we could turn nature itself into a weapon? This is what we call biological control. The idea is, instead of us fighting the pests directly, we recruit their natural enemies to do the work for us. We're literally deploying predators, parasites, and even bacteria as our own microscopic army. So, for example, meet Wolbachia. It's a bacteria that occurs naturally in tons of insects, but, and this is the important part, not usually in the Aedes aegypti mosquito, the one that transmits horrible diseases like dengue and Zika. And scientists have figured out how to use this little bacteria in two incredibly clever ways. Okay, so the first strategy is called population suppression. You release male mosquitoes that are infected with Wolbachia. They mate with the wild females, but those pairings result in sterile eggs. The population just crashes. The second strategy, though, is maybe even more brilliant: population replacement. You release both infected males and females, and the Wolbachia spreads through the whole population. And here's the magic trick. A mosquito that's carrying Wolbachia has a much, much harder time transmitting viruses to people. So you're not just killing them, you're effectively disarming them. All right, so using existing bacteria is one thing, but scientists are now taking it a step further and moving right into genetic engineering, directly tweaking the insect's own biology. And that leads us to the sterile insect technique, or SIT. Like it says right there, the easiest way to think about this is birth control for insects. It's an incredibly smart, environmentally friendly method that's actually been around since the 1950s. So here's how it works in 3 simple steps. First, a lab raises millions of male mosquitoes and then sterilizes them, usually with a tiny dose of radiation. Step 2, these sterile males are released out into the wild. They're totally healthy, they're competitive, and they go out and mate with wild females. But, and here's the crucial third step, those pairings produce 0 offspring. The eggs just don't hatch. Over time, you can cause the population to absolutely plummet or even wipe it out completely. Okay, so we've got chemicals, environmental changes, biological weapons, genetic weapons. So which one is the best? Well, it turns out that is completely the wrong question to be asking.
The reality is, there's no single magic bullet here. Mosquitoes and other vectors are absolute masters of adaptation. They evolve, they develop resistance, they find new ways to survive. If you rely on just one tool, you are setting yourself up for failure.
And the challenges we're facing are just immense. We're dealing with insecticide resistance, where our chemicals just stop working over time. We've got rapid population growth and urbanization creating more and more breeding sites. And for a lot of these diseases, we still don't have effective vaccines or treatments, which makes vector control basically our only line of defense. And this brings us to the most important point, the real takeaway of this whole explainer. The solution is an integrated vector control strategy. It's a master plan that doesn't just pick one tool. It intelligently combines all of them, using chemical sprays when needed, making permanent environmental fixes, and deploying these advanced biological and genetic techniques for a multi-pronged, sustainable attack. And that leaves us with a final thought. This isn't a war that you just win and then it's over. It's a constant, evolving chess match. As our enemies adapt and as our world continues to change, the real question is, what new tools and what new strategies will we need to invent for the master plan of tomorrow?